Hey yo, what is up everybody? It is the Young King Hitman here, and we have a new mechanic on the way, and I would love to give my thoughts on it and give my ideas on what could be on the way for it. I think you guys are going to like this a lot because it's a very interesting idea, and we, of course, Dokkan gives us like some sort of new mechanic or a feature or a massive like gameplay update. If they use it correctly, it's massive at least. Every like 6 to 8 months, right? So it's around that time. Worldwide is one of those points in the year, like Worldwide, Tanabata, and Anniversary are usually the three where they make sure there's something interesting in there for each of those celebrations for us to, look at the game a little bit differently. With that being said, this is what's going to be a real open one. This one's going to be very interesting. It is referred to as the Dokkan Field mechanic. And with the update of, first of all, thank you Proton, thank you Minato, Austin Attorney, Rick, thank you I seriously, anybody that I'm going to use for these references that you guys, maybe you can't see it fully, but these ideas I have open, I want to go through all of them. This is going to be a fairly long video, but before we do that, let's explain what the mechanic does so everybody's on pretty much the same page. With the update last night, 5.14.0, JP has attached the Dokkan fields and implemented them into the back end of the game, like the, underlying core of the game. We have not seen it in game at all yet, of course. The Dokkan field can be attached to one or more cards, specifically their passive or active skills. Very interesting. The field triggers based on its own conditions, however. It has a turn duration but could be permanent. It has complete, full, and multi-effect passives, just like cards. Like that's crazy to me. So there's so many different things they'll be able to do. I wonder what it does for us. Maybe it'll help us, force the orbs to change a certain way, or unlock our rotations, or force a stun on the enemy. Most enemies nullify, most difficult bosses nullify stun. Maybe it'll allow us to bypass that in a way, sort of like a Ghost Usher. There will be a field button on the card page to like explain what the field or what the ability does for you guys when we do get this in game. It can affect enemies, which I figured it would, but that at least we have 100% confirmation. There will be a button during gameplay in order to trigger it. There will be fields with animations, and it'll have an effect on the background, which is the main appeal to me. I want to see what the aesthetics are going to be, and if they'll have well, it says they'll have animations, so what the animations will be, because I love the backgrounds. I think Dokkan doesn't use their backgrounds well enough. There's some really dope ones. My favorite personal one is the hyperbolic time chamber, but what do I know? I'm just a goofy that's been playing this game for oh my gosh, it has been 8 years. Goodness, we just passed the 8-year anniversary. How could I not know that? Anyway, there will be a button during gameplay. The animations, each one will have assigned animations. No special flag hiding fields. A field could appear in any future data download without another APK update. So basically, whenever they feel like adding the stuff into the game, they don't have to do it some sort of, like I said, this is 5.14.0. They don't have to do 5.14.1. It's there. Whenever they feel like using it, it's gonna be there. The new causalities is in Dokkan field, and specific Dokkan field is in sub-target type set. Received attack during the turn is same awakening element type. So basically, if you're both super AGL, that might be a condition for it to trigger under. However, if you're super and extreme AGL, I like that. Oh, this is fire. Okay, so I'm gonna be honest, I'm reading this blind. I figured this would be good for the video for me to find this out blind and then give you guys my ideas. The way this mechanic is gonna work is, if you guys are the same typing, hero and extreme class, doesn't matter, it'll allow you to maybe trigger it. And I think that's good, because I feel like typings aren't as important as they used to be. It used to be the biggest thing in the game. Now the only reason you care about typing is if you're worried about getting hit by a super attack, I suppose. Then there's other stuff here, such as new classes. I don't know what that means. That's weird. The new animation functions, the background stacks, masks, transitions into the Dokkan field, and then apparently it can affect the way you calculate attack stats, I'm assuming, at the bottom. Listen, I'm not smart, so please don't ask me about any of that. But the reason I'm saying that is because, one, it's for sure coming during Worldwide. Air Dokkan, or I seriously and Air Dokkan are the two. They're the two that if they say something, it's happening. Okay, as you can see, I follow them for a reason. He says he will purposely stack all of Chaos Stones. He's going to skip the entire celebration summon-wise. However, he's going to get all of those stones, as many as he can, in order to summon on whatever is coming for Worldwide. Oops, I may have confirmed something. People get mad about, oh, I don't want to know about leaks, and I don't want to... Hey, listen, that's not my problem, all right? This is not my concern. That being said, I just want to make it understood. I understand why you guys wouldn't want leaks. I like leaks. I think leaks get me just as excited as if we were to find out officially. I don't really care. I just want to know what the units are going to be. That way I can spend 3 weeks trying to figure out what they're going to do. That's just me. Now, these icons are the icons that are going to be associated with the field. Like, it's weird. It's so odd because I can't read this stuff like some sort of smart person, but I understand that this is an icon and it feels like it's gonna be so interchangeable, if that makes sense. So it's weird to think about it like that. But when we look at who this might apply to, the first unit that comes to mind is, yes, hits time skip and the way it affects the environment you're gonna fight in. Now, I'm gonna rapidly list off these units. I don't want this to last too long. I don't want this video to be too long. So I'm going to try not to spend more than 60 seconds on each one. Of course, you guys know Hit has his time skip. He has levels to his evolution as a character. Maybe each time skip will allow Hit to get a little bit stronger, and you know, you move in and out of the time skip environment, and every time you do in that turn, I suppose, Hit goes up in evolution for his next turn. Or maybe, you know, he just uses it as a finishing blow, something like Ultra Hit in Legends, who is a super powerful character. I was waiting for them. Hit and Ultra Kid Buu are the two where I'm like, Dokkan doesn't have them properly represented to like the I don't know, scaled to what the character is, like the hype of the character, the power of the character, whatever you think it might be. We of course don't have LR Kid Buu, we don't have a pure LR Hit. So I'm hype about this. That's a Legends thing. Legends, listen, y'all got it, alright? Now, speaking of Buu, this is for Super Buu though, an environment. This is massive, this is massive. This is where we get into the worldwide ideas. Super Buu, in his body, when he's fighting Goku and Vegeta, this could be an environment that he goes into. Remember, he becomes like purplish in a way. He's more purplish than pink, and he has the fear of having the, you know, the Piccolos and the Gotenks. He has the fear of him getting ripped out, so he's playing defense. That would be a good little defensive state for him to be in. The reason I say this is good for worldwide is because of my next option, which would be Zamasu, when he is cut in half by Sword of Hope Trunks, supposedly dead, but then we find out, of course, it's impossible for him to die. So what we did is, how we do it, he becomes the Sky. He just becomes Sky Zamasu. I mean, that's just what we did here. So the worldwide, people have been begging and pleading, not only for 2 extremely good extreme class units, villain units, but 2 Vegetos. And the way you would handle 2 Vegetos if they were in one celebration, I would think, for worldwide, would be a Vegeto versus Buu, Super Vegeto versus Buu, of course, and then Vegeto Blue versus Zamasu. And I feel like if you were to implement this field mechanic for worldwide, which, like I said, seems all but confirmed based on we appreciate him. By the way, I appreciate him. I don't care how y'all feel about him. I appreciate him. But yeah, those are the 2 that could come for worldwide. Just those are the best 3 options off the top of my head right now. I feel like all 3 of these would make perfect sense to come out in about a month or so. Not even. It's what, like 3 weeks from now? Crazy to think about. Frieza, when he destroys Namek, destroyed Namek could become a background, because we don't really take advantage of it. I want it to be a high quality, beautiful background with, like, you know, trees burning down in the background and like balls of fire popping out the ground, and, you know, the reddish dark sky and molten magma and lava just exploding everywhere. Yeah, it sounds really dark and morbid, but damn it, I would love for that to be beautifully animated, for us to take advantage of that. And maybe I would assume certain unit super attacks are going to change based on the environment, but I mean, or maybe I should say they will be assigned to an environment. So like Hit, you know, he has the background of glass. Normally he wouldn't have it, or it's not as notable. And then he does it, you know, when he activates that field, then it becomes the cracked glass effect that he has. Now for Xenoverse, there's Cell. Cell has 2 moments I think could, you know, be his field. Creating the Cell Games Arena and destroying the Cell Games Arena. Remember, he did both. So you could have those both be animations or whatever you want to. Listen, it's not my job to figure it out. I don't know what As soon as we see what one looks like in game, we'll be able to come up with a whole bunch of ideas of how they'll handle it. But for now, we have no idea. We're walking in very open water right now. So yes, the cell games and then the open cell games like Crater. These were all, like I said, shout out to Minato, shout out to Austin Attorney, shout out to I Seriously, all of them, Proton, Rick, shout out all of them. Shout out Truth too, because so all of these earlier ones were pretty much like Goresh were earlier thoughts that the community has popularized in the past day or so since we found out about this mechanic. Now we're talking about ones that are more my idea. Like these are all, I'm taking credit for all of these. Starting off with Broly, there's multiple ways Broly can do it, but for starters, of course, Broly changes that background and he changes the shading based on that fake, like new Planet Vegeta. You can most certainly take advantage of that and make that a fun. Some of these are going to be stretches, but damn it, I think these are fun. All right. Gotenks vs. Boo. Remember, AGL Gotenks' animation is him ripping through AGL Gotenks and Piccolo. Even though they're terrible, his animation is him ripping through the hyperbolic time chamber. What if the field animation is when Piccolo walks Super Boo into the hyperbolic time chamber? Maybe Piccolo just walks in there by himself, opens the door, and then tells the enemy like, hey, walk in here and get flamed by this little 8-year-old kid. Alright, so who knows what it could be? It could be a lot of things, but the hyperbolic time chambers of space I also think looks really good in just about any form of Dragon Ball, because you can be really creative with it, like Budokai 3, you know, just in the anime in general. Dokkan does it pretty well when it's the rain one, not the standard one, but it's like raining sparkles, if that makes sense. That sounds crazy, but y'all know what I mean. Now, another one that could be this was a real lock in my opinion, but when Gohan in his animation, shout out to Omega Phase Dive, when he cracks the glass, like the sky that it's the projected sky of the Red Ribbon Army base, that would be a really good field animation. I don't know how you would quite handle it. I want it to be the rain, like the Gammas, you fight the Gammas in that rain environment. I like the rain environment. That's my favorite environment from that movie. That might be my favorite environment from any of the Dragon Ball Super movies. I did like where they fought Frieza at in Resurrection F though, like that sea, you know, ocean side, cliff, what's the word, plateau, archipelago-ish type energy. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I am such a chatterbox, bro. So yeah, you could do that environment for Gohan. Another one could be Turles and the gang planting the fruit of the seed the seed for the fruit of the tree of might into the ground, and then that, you know, devastates the earth and browns out the sky, and now you're fighting in this type of environment, or maybe just the really dark sky. But I always like this environment for Turles. I like the shades of blue and green. For Frieza, once again, we have another moment. Speaking of Resurrection F, you could do the core breaker. Like it could be him. I don't know how you would handle it. Maybe it would be associated with Whis doing a rewind. I don't know, man. Maybe this one is a bit of a reach now that I'm trying to explain it, but I kind of want to rescind this one. I'm not as confident in. It doesn't seem like it makes as much sense, especially since his active skill is already represented really well in the game. I guess it doesn't really matter, but when I was thinking of this list, I was thinking of people that altered the environments that they were fighting in, and Frieza came to mind. Now this one is a really dope one. I don't care. Janemba. Fat Janemba, when he was manipulating the jelly beans, like the hell beans in HFI, that is creepy. I did not mean, you guys know what I'm talking about. Of course he has his dimension punches, which the tech one already represents, but the orbs in the background, the beans, he was dropping them on Goku, he was giving Goku problems, he was manipulating them, and of course they were affected by yelling and shouting, just like Janemba is. They were affected by mass amounts of negative emotion, was it? It's something like that. You guys would have to remind me, but y'all know what I'm talking about. When Pikkon yells at them and they start to crack, and then Janemba starts to crack, that would be a nice little field change you could do. This one is already, we just got Godku finally after all these years as a Dokkan Fest, so I'm not quite sure we're fiending for this. But you could do Godku when he's fighting in the cave, or you could do the transition to when he's fighting in space and animate space very well, or you could assign it to a new Beerus unit. We haven't gotten Beerus. We haven't gotten a new Beerus unit since Physical Beerus. I'm trying to hope that's not an overstatement. I mean like a new good animations Beerus, or like a new Premier Beerus. Yeah, since Physical Beerus. So that's automatically, what, post 5-year anniversary? Sheesh, that's crazy to think about. Huh, that's very interesting. Okay, now this one is important because I didn't pull them up. I should have pulled them up. Damn it, I'm a terrible person. Hold up. Ah, there we go. This guy. Okay, so this Tech Trunks is going to awaken into an LR. It's all, the format is already set. It's been set all these years for free-to-play units. He has a summonable unit's hidden potential field, so he'll get 5,000 to his stats on average. When he awakens, we're not sure what he's gonna awaken into because he's only on time travelers. So it could be him and like a Supreme Kai of Time, which feels like the most obvious answer right now. Remember, he's from quest mode, so maybe it'll be some sort of new quest mode and you meet. I don't care. I'm not thinking about it too hard. Just know it's not a normal Trunks unit. Okay, with that being said, he could teleport to the Time Nest since he is a quest mode Trunks. Him and Supreme Kai would be a very valid option. This one isn't a reach in my opinion, but it's definitely something I was just like freestyling, I guess you could say, when I came up with this one. Like I said, I was brainstorming for sure. Now here's one that many people are very, very ready for, which is Baby on planet Tuffle. I think Baby transitioning from Earth to Tuffle, or maybe he goes from planet to planet, whatever, and ends up on Tuffle. I don't know. But Baby making a transition onto the planet and then having home court advantage, you know, feeling like he's at home, his version of home, whatever you want to call it, with the Earth in the background, mind you, would be a real nice idea. I think that would be really fire for a unit like Baby to make his own. I guess that would be a dope effect for a Baby. I think it would be very fitting for his takeover of multiple planets and how he changes his environment. I think he would be a good candidate for this field mechanic, basically is what I'm saying. And then finally, this one is such a short moment, so I don't want to overdo it, but we have not gotten a Broly from, gosh man, the only full power Broly we have was 5 years ago. Like, I want people to understand how mad that is, bro. The only premier Broly we have from his fight with Gogeta is 5 years ago. And he's like a really nice unit, but Broly is so, like, there's so many more animations, right? Like, Broly has good animations for how old he is. There's so much more here from that movie. He spends so much time fighting. So when him and Gogeta break the dimension, and listen, it never was really explained to me, but when they break that dimension, even though it's an inexplicable moment, it would be really nice to have that as like a stage for a Broly to be fighting on, or maybe a Gogeta to be fighting on. Who knows? Only a turn or two. I would not be opposed to it at all. These last two, you guys are gonna like this one. Well, not this one, but the one after it. Shout out to G-Zone for having this clip. I don't want to play it for too long, but this is the Kid Buu versus Goku fight. Kid Buu throws an energy beam down at Goku. Goku dodges it. Let me skip forward a little bit. He is on Supreme Kai's world, of course. They don't really focus on it after this. I don't know why, but it completely changed the environment. Look how everything gets all creepy and morbid once again. So it's a very weird thing, and then everything just later on in the episodes just goes back to being greenish blue. Weird. So yeah, you can, I forgot does something trigger it to go back to being greenish blue? I don't think so. They just chose to make it that way, and he's kind of doing that Broly effect of color shifting. The lightning is striking down and all of that. Goku and Buu have their stare down. This would be a fire environment, going from Supreme Kai's world to like the destroyed, I don't want to call it destroyed because, like I said, they didn't focus on it too hard, but like that weird iteration and that weird colorway for the Supreme Kai's world during their battle. And then finally, just because we absolutely have to, like, who else manipulates a field better than this man? Like, who else you know like Hove, bro? Guldo, his time freeze. We have to take advantage of his. If we're going to talk about, hold up, let me move him all the way to the front, bro. If we're going to talk about his time skip, How are we not going to talk about the OG, the original Time Freeze? So I will leave this right here, and since this video is closing in on 20 minutes, I do not want to hold you guys here all day, all night, or all afternoon. Hope you guys enjoyed. It is the Young King Hitman. I appreciate you guys stopping by. Let me know what you guys think this mechanic is going to be like, who you think it's going to be associated with, what you think the best way to handle it is. Like I said, it has passives and things like that. Very interested. But Young Hitman, consider liking and subscribing if you want more Dokkan chats and Dokkan all around, more Dokkan coverage and gameplay. Young Hitman is very much off this.